Today we're chatting with Diane Griffin in our first edition of Rocks Revolutionaries. Diane is a relative newcomer to our community and has pursued a wide variety of interests since settling here just a few years ago. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Ray.
If you can, tell us a little bit about your background, where you've moved from, and why you chose this community.
I spent most of my life in Minnesota and did accounting, worked in food service, catering, and ultimately ended up the last 25 years of my working life doing photography and running a couple of photo labs. My husband is a technical engineer, mechanical engineer, and he worked in the photo industry, and I tease him often that the only reason I married him is because he had a good 35 millimeter camera and I always wanted one. But I got an opportunity to travel with him a lot on his business and visit photo labs, talk with photographers, and it was something that really intrigued me. I kind of balance between being creative and wanting to take stuff apart. So, being in the photo lab was great. I got to work with a lot of creative people, but I also got to kind of apply my mechanical skills to keeping processes running and machines running and that sort of thing. So it was a good fit for me and had a lot of fun doing it.
I know you're involved in a lot of groups, activities. Can you talk a little bit about some of the ones that you've developed since you've been here?
Yeah, the joy of having time to pursue your interests has made me decide I don't really want to work anymore. One of the first things that we came out here, I thought I would continue to pursue my photography business, and as I got more involved in doing things that I really enjoyed, I just looked in the mirror and said, I'm getting older, Peter's getting older, we have a lot of fun together, let's do stuff we have fun at. And fortunately we're able to do that. The brewing was something I did back in Minnesota. I had a mentor who was a wonderful brewer that taught me probably in the mid-'80s sometime how to brew, and until my business kind of went crazy. I did a lot of that, and then I had to push it all aside and earn a living for a while, but I kept my gear and knew that ultimately I'd like to get started again. And one of the most fun aspects of brewing is the people that I was able to meet as I did it and share information with. I was a good brewer because people took the time to help me and teach me. And so I looked for a brew club when we came out to Roseburg, and there was one number for Glide listed in the American Homebrewers Association listing, but apparently it was no longer valid. But I'm going through the classifieds one day in the news review, and there's a little teeny notice for a brew club meeting. So I went to it, and it was a gentleman from New York that had started brewing and really wanted to learn more and connect with some people out here that knew what they were doing, and had not been successful at the time that I joined them, which was about maybe 6 or 8 months into the thing. From my experience in the club in the Twin Cities, I knew that you needed probably a more congenial location to people in somebody's house. Not that that's not congenial, but people are hesitant to go to somebody's house, strangers. So a commercial location and a little more visibility would maybe garner some interest for the club. And as it turns out, the whole craft beer thing is just exploding, and so is the interest in home brewing. So it wasn't very difficult to do a couple of public events and get a lot more members for our club. That was first and foremost something that I wanted to happen here. It is happening, and I'm excited about it. Well, it just so happens I'm living next door to a few foodies, one who's intense enough to have built the most magnificent wood-fired bread oven you've ever seen, and has invited me to bake with him. Actually, he's told the neighborhood, anybody that's got dough that wants to come down on Fridays when we're here, we're baking. So he's taught me a lot, and I think I've taught him a bit too. And we have a marvelous time getting together and producing bread. He'll do like 20 loaves on a weekend, and he gives them away to the neighborhood. He has what he calls the bread line, And then he goes from house to house and drops off the bread, and it's so much fun. And another thing I've gotten into is bees. I've tried a little bit of gardening and not done well at it, but we've had a neighbor who had a couple of beehives, and so there were always plenty of bees on my plants. And then the neighbor moved and took his beehives with him, and there was a noticeable drop in my flowers and the vegetables and that sort of stuff. Plus, I'm fascinated by the little critters, so I sort of chatted with a guy in Winston that has kept bees all his life, who's the guy who's probably mentored everybody in beekeeping in the valley here, and asked enough questions to feel confident enough to want to start a hive. And then I'm having my teeth worked on, and my dental hygienist says, oh, my father used to keep bees professionally, and I want to start it again too, and I've got 15 hives, and you're welcome to have a couple if you'd like. So it's like, you know, if you talk to people, ultimately you just connect with so much amazing stuff. And so it's bees, bread, beer, art tabled for a little bit, but you know, the one thing about it is having taken some instructions now and had an opportunity to practice it, I have so much more appreciation for the people that are really, really talented and good at it. So that's part of the fun, is just explore a lot of things. You might never find anything that really clicks for you, but boy, does your heart open up to the people that are able to do it well once you've, you know, availed yourself of that.